Up YouTube Gen X. I've been away for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. I don't really know. Been real busy. School's out, so I had a lot of end of the year shit that I had to get done. Um, Whole bunch of graduations, end of the year banquets, end of the year parties, graduation parties, yeah, people hanging out. Every year there's like this period where all my boys and people that I like to hang out with, they're back in town before they go off to vacation or internship or back home or back to work. Like there's always a period where everybody's together for 3 weeks, so you can get the posse together for a 3-week period and get into some shit. So I had that. Um, I had some different academic breakthroughs or whatnot where, I've made some headway here, headway there, had a whole bunch of papers that are due, a whole bunch of reading, NBA playoffs. So I've really been occupied, other volunteer stuff that I do on the side. It's been real crazy, to say the least, or whatnot. So I really haven't had the opportunity to catch up on a lot of videos or stay connected with people, so I do apologize for that. But I did check every now and then, but a lot of the comments that I would get on a video, they wouldn't be directed towards me, so it's kind of like, oh, they're not talking to me, so no big deal. But I did get a PM from a young man that I was talking to for a while now. And I didn't want to share his story because I wanted to make sure that I heard how it ended. And luckily it ended on a good note, but it still raises an issue that I have. Oftentimes you have black parents that say they want a better life for their kids. So if I made it to level 10, I want my kid to start off at level 10 and hopefully make it to level 20. That's what a lot of black parents say, but how many black parents actually set up their child so that they can actually start at level 10 and make it to 20? Because what happens a lot of the time, you have a lot of black parents that will say, I want my kid to have a better life, but then they'll say, I have to go through it, so they have to go through it. So they'll make sure that their kid is at a level 5, and it's kind of like, okay, your kid makes it to level 5, or he starts up at level 5, even though you made it to level 10. So he does what he has to do, goes through the same struggles that you went through, only to make it to level 10, ground level, and hopefully he can make it to level 12 or 13. And on the flip side, you have your whites, your Asians, and whoever, where it's like, kid starts off at level 15, parents are at level 15, kid starts off at 15, ends up at 30. Whereas you put in, as a young black person, you put in the same amount of work. You work just as hard, but you only make it to level 13, 14. Why? Because your parents started you off at level 5 on purpose, because they wanted you to go through what they had to go through, and because they didn't have it easy, you can't have it easy. And don't get me wrong, I understand the rationale behind it, but it's, to me, flawed. Starting me off at level 10, right, where you left off, doesn't imply that I'm not going to have any sort of struggle. I'm going to have new struggles. I may have the same struggles that you had, but it's going to be in a different form or whatnot. And you can pass on all the struggles that you have been through. You can pass that on, and I could be receptive to it. To me, it's almost as if I got shot, so I have to make sure that my son got shot, right? So he knows to stay away from guns. And I really can't tell my son to stay away from guns, because he never experienced being hit by a bullet. To me, that's flawed. I can teach my son or daughter about the pain of being shot by a bullet and not have to have them actually be shot. And in doing that, I feel like they can avoid that problem. So it's kind of like, okay, if something should happen, at least we know you're not going to make the same mistake or go through the same shit that I went through. Whatever's going to happen to you is going to be brand new. That's just how I feel. But to me, it's really annoying because you talk about, oh, well, how come black people aren't getting ahead? We talk about not having this. We talk about not having that. And a lot of that is true. Don't get me wrong. A lot of that is true. But when we have issue or situations like the one I'm going to share with you where the resources are there, but they're not given to the child because of the sort of, I have to go through it, or I had to go through it, so you have to go through it. It's a problem. We're not making up any ground. We're not. We're not making up any ground. If you have a child, right, that was born at level 15, but you purposely make sure that your child is at level 7, and they only make it back to level 15, or they make it to, let's say, level 17. Whereas the other groups are like, okay, this kid was born at level 15, they're going to start at level 15 and end up at level 30. It's flawed. We're not getting anywhere. Now, let me tell you about the story. I was talking to a young cat from the East Coast, okay, and he got into an internship, non-paid internship. Now, he's an engineering major. It's not paid. But from what he says, this internship sets you up. So it's not paid, but you work this internship, and if you're not picked up by the company upon graduation where they'll start you out making 70, you put that you work for this company and you intern for them, and you put that on your resume and go somewhere else, and you're just as good. So it's almost like a golden ticket. So in a sense, it doesn't pay you directly, but because it guarantees you pretty much decent employment coming out of college as an engineering major, and I want to say I think he's a chemical engineer, but they have different engineers or whatnot. So like, if coming out as a chemical engineer for him, he would have been good, whether that company employed him or he used that internship experience as experience on a resume. He was good. So I guess you can say it was a paid internship. So he got in, and it's very difficult to get into. He was able to get in. But the catch was that he would have to spend the summer in a different city. And it's a free, the internship doesn't pay, so you have to pretty much come up with the cost of living for the couple of months that you're out there. And it's somewhat high, but based off of what he said, like, usually, altogether, the summer would have cost him around $6,000 or $7,000, depending on how bare minimum he was living. Right? When you consider what you need, and all the materials that you would need, food, transportation, laundry. You guys know how that adds up quick. Cell phone bills, whatever you have, personal expenses. You know how that can add up. So altogether, it was probably more than likely going to cost him $7,000 to get through the internship, including the plane ticket there and back, coming home for the weekend to go to important graduations or whatnot. So it would have came out to around $7,000. Now, when he told this to his father, and he clearly explained to his father that it wasn't a paid internship, but getting this internship was pretty much as good as gold, right? So it's like they pay you, but they don't pay you till later. But when they pay you, they give you like a golden brick, right? He clearly articulated this to his father. And his father still said, no, he wasn't going to fund the cost. He wasn't going to meet the cost of him going through that internship for the summer. And the father's rationale was that in his day, that's something that he would never have the ability to do, Why not get an internship that pays you that's more local, or why not just work? Because the guy had other opportunities. But he was trying to explain to his father that this opportunity was different because this company was a premier company. The other internships that he had lined up paid well, but they really weren't that involved. And for those that have interned before, you know how it is. You have internships that really prepare you for what you want to get into, and you have internships that have you do bitch work. So they pay you because it's cheaper to pay you as the intern to do bitch work as opposed to, paying some sort of employee to do busy work. So that was the shit that he had going on, and it was kind of like, oh, well, his father was like, you should do that and get paid as opposed to me sending you off here, right, and you not making any sort of money at all, or just get a regular summer job. And he told me the story, and I was annoyed. And it wasn't because they didn't have the money. See, I can understand if, they just didn't have the money, especially when you look at the current economy or whatnot. Who has, 7,000 that's just lying around or whatnot? But that wasn't the case for him at all. His parents had money. 7,000 really wasn't anything, to tell you the truth. The dad can cut a check on the spot. So it's not one of those, I got to get the money together, you have to give me a couple of months to round up that much money. No, it was one of those, oh, okay. Like when the pizza man comes and, you have your $17 and you give to him straight out of your wallet. It was almost like that. That's how it was. So money is not the issue for him. Or money wasn't the issue for the father. It was more so, wow, look at this golden opportunity. I want you to have a better life, but when push comes to the shove, I don't want to see you start off at level 15. I'd rather see you start off at level 10 because I had to go through it. And it was annoying. Right? So when I last spoke to the guy, he was like, it's probably not going to happen for me because I just don't have that money laying around. I've tried to, exhaust all my options, and at best I can maybe come up with $3,500. At best I can come up with that amount if I really put some shit together and, really fold some shit or whatnot. Like, that's the most I can come up with, but that's not going to take me far, even at a bare minimum sort of level. It's not enough. So, check this out. His application was reviewed by a black guy that worked in the HR department at this engineering firm. It was reviewed by him, right? Because you have this sort of, committee that reviews the applications because, once again, it's a very exclusive internship where they only really pull from a certain feeder schools, certain feeder universities, right? Hopefully you can follow me. And they get a lot of applications. So they have this committee that looks over the applications and whatnot. And luckily, when he was selected, one of the people on the committee that was responsible for looking over the applications was part of his same fraternity. Because he looked at his application, on the application it stated that he was part of this fraternity. I believe it was, Omega Psi Phi. And after they, let everybody know who got in, send out the offers for the internship, the guy on the committee contacted him and said, hey, what's going on? It's good to see another brother in here, especially, another Q coming through and getting this internship because it really is a benefit. And they don't get too many, black male applicants that qualify because of GPA and this, that, and the third. So he, reached out to him. Hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'm looking forward to working with you. And at this point, the guy was like, yeah, I really want to be there. But it's not looking like I can, take the internship because I don't have the funds, right? And, I did the research and whatnot, and even when they apply for the internship, they let them know from the word go that it's not paid, and they let them know that you're looking to spend anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 for the time you're going to be out there, right? And it's fucked up that they don't pay because it's not like the company's struggling, but the rationale that the company had was that, we need some way to filter people out, and this internship is so exclusive that, you would be a fool not to take the offer. So their rationale, was there in terms of why they didn't pay, right? Even though I don't agree with it, but I see why, right? But like I said, the guy from the committee reached out to the dude and was like, hey, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you come out. We can, really, you can get a feel for what we do. More than likely, I'm going to be your mentor. I'm going to be your coordinator, the guy that you're checking in with weekly and daily. So it's going to be a good look. And luckily, after having this conversation, the guy in the committee, right, the Omega dude on the committee was like, you know what? I have a friend who is renting out rooms in his condo from the summer because he's not going to be there. I guess one of his coworkers is, and he's up there, right? He's going away and spending some time elsewhere. I don't know where he's going. And he's renting out rooms in his condo or whatever it was, townhome or whatever. So luckily, they connected. So after that, the overall cost of him having his trip came to around $4,000. And he was able to scrap together another $500 to get the $4,000 that he needed. I think his boy was going to help him out or something. I think he was going to sell some Jordans or some shoes that he had. I forgot what he was going to do, but he was able to come up with the 4Gs that he needed. So at the end of the day, it turned into a happy story because this young man is now going to be, and I believe he's already there, he now is at the internship, and guess what? He's going to finish the internship, and he's going to get hired by the company or not get hired by the company, right, but still get that experience that will get him a job with any other company, and now he's good to go. So I was happy, as if it was me or like it was my own brother or somebody that I knew. I was so happy. I was so pumped to find out that he actually got the internship and he was able to make it work. But I asked myself when I was done talking to him, I really sat back and I'm like, yo, how many other black men and women have this same sort of problem where it's like, yo, my parents can put me in a good position, but they don't want to do it. And it's not about me not being grateful, but they just have this sort of mentality of, no, forget them having a better life. They have to go through what we went through. Like, you're not getting ahead. And that's the difference. No one is saying that there's no value in having a child struggle or a young adult struggle, but if you're talking about getting ahead, young black men and women getting ahead, your mentality has to be different. And it's not there. And it is frustrating. It's very frustrating if you're a younger black person trying to get their shit together because you look at your non-black counterparts and you see what's going on with them and it's just like, fuck. I don't know how many Asians or white kids that I know that when they graduated, parents got them a house, got them a car, so they weren't worried about bills or whatnot, right? And you saw your black or African counterparts where it was kind of like the parents had the resources to do it, but they just didn't do it. I didn't have it, so they don't have it. So now they're struggling. And they can't make the same moves or make the same jumps that their non-black counterparts are doing because of that. And it's not even like they're going to be spoiled. It's not even as if they're going to undervalue the dollar and not know what hard work and determination is. No, not at all. That's like the major misconception. No, not at all. I completely understand what you had to do. I completely understand that I'm starting off at a level that took you years to get to. And that's going to motivate me to go harder, as opposed to me being selfish or forgetting and just, neglecting all the hard work you put into it. So I'm not trying to come down too hard on the parents that have the resources. All I'm trying to say is that your child or your children will understand the sacrifices that you have made. If you sit down and talk to them, they can understand, oh, dad and mom had to go through a lot to make sure that I start off at level 15. So now that I'm here, I better, go balls out and make sure that I end up at level 25. I end up at level 30. But it is annoying and frustrating. So I have to put it out there. I know this was a longer video, a longer rant. But it's just, it really made me happy. Like, it made my week to talk to this dude and figure out everything worked out for him. But I was just like, damn, how many black men and women are in this same position as this dude, but shit doesn't pop off for him, and the parents had the resources. It's one thing if mom and dad just don't have it. You can't blame them. They don't have it. They just don't have it. But to have the resources that are readily available and to not use it, it's not as if the money's tied up anywhere. It's just sitting in an account, sitting in some savings account or whatever. Like, that's sad. And we're not really getting anywhere, or we're not moving as quickly as we need to. If the competition is going 5 miles per hour, and we're only going 1, yeah, we're making forward progress, but we're not catching up to anybody. If they're going at 5, we have to be going at 7. We have to be going at 8 to catch up and to surpass them. And, before I end, let me end with this. Here's the saddest part. When the Omega dude on the committee talked to the guy and was like, hey, what's going on? And the guy was like, here's my financial situation. The dude first told the guy, you should tell your parents who we are and what this internship means. Because the guy was not the only one that had problems with affording to stay out in that area for the duration of the internship. He wasn't the only one that was just like, I don't have the $7,000. But the dude on the committee was just like, listen, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You know how many Asians and whites that low-key don't have money and their parents damn near go off and take a loan out to fund the 3 months, to fund the cost of the 3 months of the internship? A lot of them do that. Literally. If they didn't have it readily available, they would make sure that they got those funds because they understood what this meant for their child. They understood that, yeah, I'm going to have to take out this loan for $7,000 and end up paying back $15,000 or whatnot. But the money that my son and daughter would make 3 years after the internship or 3 years after being hired on or graduating, they can write it off with a check, a fucking check. Oh, thanks, Mom and Dad. Oh, here's the check for, the $9,000 or whatnot, that the remaining balance of the loan or whatnot that you guys took out so I can stay in this city for the internship. Oh, I'm about to, go chill and go back to my home. It was that bad. The committee dude was like, yeah, did you tell your dad that? And he was like, yeah, I told my dad that, and he still wasn't trying to fuck with me. And I just shook my head when he said that to me. I just shook my head. I mean, you got the non-blacks who don't even have the resources, who would go into temporary debt to make sure that their child got that opportunity. That says a lot. And then we always sit back and wonder why we're not moving at the same direction as everybody else, or we're not catching up, we're not making the same headway or whatever you want to call it. And, it is what it is. So anyways, that's my video. Y'all take it easy. God bless.